even when I was in prison, one of my cellies one time was going to parole out to San Antonio, and he was telling me his mom was involved in gangs, and he was telling me what he was going to go back to. And I just thought to myself, that's a dead end for him. This is just a short 7-minute clip of a longer interview I did with a good friend of mine, Tracy Williams. After serving 25 years, he's been out for about 8 months now. And in this video, we're talking about family issues and things that you need to think about when you're re-entering society and getting back involved with family and friends. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. Like, share, subscribe. Help me help others. Thanks. One of the questions that they need to ask themselves, people in prison who are going home or going to have a relationship with their family upon release, but also the people who have volunteered to allow, someone to stay in their home to help support them when they get out. So for the person who's in prison and thinking about family issues, they want to ask what kind of relationship they had with certain family members before prison. If you had the kind of relationship with a family member where you were drinking all the time and running the streets, then that could pose a problem if they haven't changed, but you have. Even if you're not going to stay with that particular family member, what about the other family members who are, in the neighborhood, come over and hang out for the weekend? What kind of relationship did you have with people in the past? Did you leave the world on a really bad footing with your family? Because maybe in the case of people who were young and stupid and, on drugs or whatever, they maybe stole from their family, cost their family a lot of money for different things. Think about it. When you left the world, when you came to prison, what kind of relationship did you have with particular family members? And if they haven't changed, or you haven't sought forgiveness or apologized for whatever things you've done before you went to prison, how are you going to address that? What is that relationship going to look like? This is really important for people who are going to live in the house with, their family, and maybe they left on bad terms, or maybe they know that the house they're going into, there's going to be things like alcohol, maybe drugs, maybe other things that won't be healthy for them to be around. And so I think thinking through the details of daily life in a home or with family member or friends that either you left the world on bad terms with, or you might not be going into a safe and healthy environment.
It's something to consider. As far as me, when I got out, my mother had always been there for me throughout my incarceration. And of course, she's gotten older and has her own health challenges. As far as me, I came in an ideal situation of a mother that's always been there. But that's not always the case with some people. Their households might be volatile. They might have, someone, just like you said, they're selling drugs or alcoholic. In the reentry process, sometimes you might have to cut ties with family. You might have to go to a halfway house or find somewhere else that is available where you can live, if that's going to help you stay free. Because it's always about, changing the people, the places, and the things that you do. And as far as me, I didn't have, anyone that was involved in crime, or I didn't leave any bad relationships. I had did some different things that I've asked, several of my cousins, forgive me. But it wasn't something, that's just relationship to severed relationships. Like when I left and I came back, a lot of my cousins, my brothers, they were glad that I'm free. Where they could help, they do. Me adjust. As far as my situation, it's just me. I had grown differently. My thinking was different. And when I came back, for me, the hardest thing was to see what the effect of me leaving, how it had on the family. And that's something often that in reentry, people don't realize is the effect of someone that's incarcerated, how it harms the family. For some households, it could be the economic effect. As far as my household, my absence had kind of thrown off the balance of the family, because I was always the person that, kept things together. And I seen that my absence had really thrown the family off. And it's gotten a lot better now. I've seen my little brother began to emulate some of the things that I do as far as my mindset, and it's kind of bringing the family back together.
Yeah, and I guess I was thinking about worst case scenarios because even when I was in prison, one of my cellies one time was going to parole out to San Antonio, and he was telling me about his mom, as a matter of fact, who was involved in gangs. His mom was involved in gangs, and he was telling me what he was going to go back to. And I just thought to myself, that's a dead end for him, because he's going right into a situation where he's surrounded by people who are not trying to help him change. But then in other situations, it wouldn't be as severe, but just as much as people parole to a different neighborhood or a different town so that they don't go back to their old friends, your family can have a strong effect on you like that, just as much, if not more than friends. And so even if somebody's not going back to a family that's, wilding out and partying and drinking and gambling, all that kind of stuff, it's still just something to think about, especially if you have a bad past or a bad history there.